Hey everybody, I'm your host Eric Mueller, and welcome back to The Eric Mueller Show, the podcast where we explore what makes any successful person's inner clock tick. Financial freedom. That's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it? My guest today is the CEO and founder of Free Financial Self, a company that helps people organize their finances to reach financial independence faster. Shlomo Freund is a location-independent entrepreneur with a lifelong passion for finance, investing, and travel. He believes that people need to be intentional with their finances and take responsibility so that they can live a better, happier, and more fulfilling life. Now, how do you do that? Well, his answer is to strategize and create a financial roadmap to reach your goals, a topic that Shlomo is an expert on. Shlomo's also created an exclusive link for all listeners of The Eric Mueller Show to calculate your own net worth. I've attached the hyperlink in the show notes of this episode, or you can go to freefinancialself.com/emshow to access this incredible tool. Are you ready to start your journey towards financial freedom? Let's head on over to the interview. All right, so welcome back to the Eric Mueller Show, podcast where we explore what makes any successful person's inner clock tick. Today, I'm thrilled to talk finances and investing with my guest, Shlomo Freund. Are you ready to learn how to create your own financial roadmap customized around your financial and personal lifestyle goals? I sure hope so, because Shlomo is an expert in doing just that. Welcome to the show, Shlomo Freund.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you, Eric, for inviting.
Absolutely. So, just starting off here. So I am a big investor. I'm passionate about it. I'm just starting off in my career, so I don't have a ton of capital to invest with yet. But a question that I find asking myself a lot is, how do I know how to pick the best investments for myself? So would you share, people listening, how can they pick the best investments to, push them on the path that they want to go in their lives?
Sure. Are you ready for a series of 10 episodes of your podcast with this?
I'm ready.
There's actually a whole roadmap that I developed exactly for this, because I've been asked this question a lot. What should I invest in? And the thing is that many people just want this straight answer. I do this, do that. But I'm looking at a different way, talking about your life goals, not only your financial goals, but your life goals. So I'll go quickly through the roadmap so you'll understand the context. Think of 4 stages, where the last one is, let's say, financial freedom, your goal, okay? So the first one would be going for designing your future desired lifestyle. What do you want for yourself? Really understanding where you're going. That's the first step of connecting your finances to your life, to what's happening there. Okay. Now, the next 3 steps are pretty straightforward, because they're not so much related to the goals, but it's actually about reaching those goals. And this would be upgrading your financial knowledge. It would be controlling your numbers, and eventually create the plan to reach what you did at step 1. So it's very brief, of course, but basically connect your investments to your desired lifestyle. They're not 2 separate things. It's not money for the sake of making money. It's for the sake of reaching your life goals. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Broadly, it certainly clicks with me. And trying to think of, at first we just got to define what our life goals are, right? I think that's probably, people listening right now might not have that clear in their mind what those are. How do you tease those out? Because I can say for sure, I'm very, loyal to my family, my fiance. I have priorities that, I want to achieve from a, career standpoint. But how does one tease those goals out, Shlomo?
So one of the first questions that I ask, and that's basically the first or second meeting with people, is asking questions like, What do you like to do? How do you spend your days? An ideal day, how would that look? Okay, and that intrigues the mind to start thinking about, what are the things that I really like? What are the things that are important for me? What are my priorities? And from there, you're slowly going into the finances part, meaning understanding how much things would cost you, how much money you really need monthly to support those life goals. And you basically build around that. But first, it's those questions trying to, get the juices out.
Yeah. And I know one thing I like, so I mean, I'll include your website and the show notes here, and everybody can reach out to you in that way if they want to, go down the coaching path, mentoring path with you financially. But one thing that stuck out to me was that you really believe that people need to be intentional about their finances, and they need to take some responsibility for it so that they can use that to live a better life. So I'm wondering, how does one best take control of that and be intentional about it? Does that mean, kind of picking some investments by yourself outside of the advice of a financial advisor, or, doing some more non-traditional investments? What are your thoughts on that?
It's actually both, but you really need to understand nobody in the world cares about your money than yourself. So it's not about that person will solve my problem. Yes, there are advisors and coaches, and that's fine. But you still need to understand what you're doing to the maximum that you can, so you'd know that you're doing things right. Now, of course, if you're ill, you're going to a doctor. You're not trying to solve that by yourself. I understand that. Same can be for money, but it's not like, just take this away from me and you'll solve everything for me. It doesn't work this way. And then it's about aligning your life with your life goals, with your finances. These can be the more traditional investments that people know, like the stock portfolio or real estate. And it can be less traditional, like investing in crowd investing, or invest in digital assets like content websites, SaaS. Some would say cryptocurrency is also an investment. That's debatable, but that's also something that can make money. But it's basically aligning those goals and then understanding, okay, that's the right investment to go for that. When I'm speaking with clients, I'm really taking them of this investment will be the bucket for this goal. Let's say in 5 years, a trip around the world, that would cost $20,000. This means that now you need to save and invest above your, from your free cash flow, let's say $500 a month at 6% return. Then you reach those 20,000 plus inflation. So maybe it will be 22,000 in 5 years. That's basically how you align that. And if you get those $500 every month and put that in that bucket, you'll reach that goal. Now you can extrapolate that even further. You don't have kids, you can still do that for your kids' college, because you assume it probably will happen in 25-ish years. But it's something that you can prepare to and save and actually make a lot of money, instead of thinking about it a year before. Oh, I need I don't know, $100,000 for college, or maybe decide today for your that's my personal decision. I now decide that my kids can go to college and I'm not going to assist them with this, and that's fine by me. So, but it's a matter that you know where you're at in life and you prepare for that.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer. I appreciate you touching on that. The next piece that kind of builds off it in my mind is that, you may get emotionally tied to certain investments, or at least I know I do. So if you're invested in something, and I know we'll get to this in a second, because I know some people listening will want to hear your take on cryptocurrency, but if you're invested in some type of, traditionally traded stock in the United States, on the NASDAQ or something like that, and you're gonna need X amount of return to hit your goal in that 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. If you notice that you're not on track with that, or it's going the opposite direction, at what point do you know to pivot into other investments, or do you suggest having just a diverse portfolio for those goals?
So it depends what the goal is. Okay, if we take an example of that trip around the world and that costs 20,000, then it's not that bad if you're not going to hit the 20,000. If it will be 18,000, you'd still make the trip maybe a little shorter. Okay.
Sure.
But the other example of, let's say, again, let's take the child's college, which is something that is really important for you. So you need that money. Okay. So this thing, you need to be more sure about the investment that you're going to go with. So again, it's aligning the goal to the investment, that it's always tied together. Does that answer this?
Yeah. Yeah. And just taking it from your personal take. So at this current moment, what is your favorite investment? Do you have a particular stock or even just a particular vehicle of investing that you would would advise people to explore?
So my latest and, let's say, favorite one are content websites. I invest and flip those. I currently own 2 websites, and I haven't sold them, but I'm now selling one of them, and I'm looking for a third and hopefully a fourth one for this year. These generate cash flow. I don't start them from scratch, and they do around 30% return, or between 25 and 30% return a year. But you do need to know what to do and maintain that. So I'm also acting as an operator, and there is some money that you're putting back into the business. You still get nice returns, and of course the value of the asset grows as well. So that's basically my favorite one for now.
Sure.
It won't be stock portfolio. These are the boring stuff.
Yeah. And we're moving, like, I love that you hit on that with digital. We're moving into a digital age more and more, every year that goes by and every day that goes by, it seems like. So that's a really interesting take. I mean, do you seek these out in any particular way, or how do you know that, this is a good buy from a content standpoint, when you're looking at an open marketplace?
It took me about 4 or 5 months to really study the whole topic, and there are much more experts than me on this. I've learned to go to certain marketplaces. There is one like Empire Flippers, but there are many others since then. I bought one on that Empire Flippers website and one on a private Facebook group.
Okay.
And there's really a lot to learn about these things. So that's the way to start. I actually have a whole workshop on this. I made a workshop of how to look for those websites and what you need to look into. Since then, I've learned so much more, and could probably put even another 2 or 3 workshops on top of that. But the starting one I already have.
Yeah. So, and I should mention too, those of you listening, you heard this earlier in the intro of Shlomo, but he is the CEO of Free Financial Self. So that is his business. The website, like I've said, will be attached to the show notes. But one thing I noticed looking on that website, Shlomo, was you have a fair amount of calculators, a lot of unique calculators on that website. And they, at least from what I can see, show that they're coming soon. Is there a calculator that, once those are released to the public, is there one you'd recommend that everybody needs to have their financial roadmap, as a partner to it?
So what I recommend is that look at those calculators and choose your goals. However, a better tool for you would be to calculate how much you're worth, to calculate your net worth. And I have a special tool for that. You can go to the following URL. It's freefinancialself.com/EM show. And there you can download that tool. It's very simple, very self-explanatory. I put everything, all the instruction there, and you know how much you're worth. And then you can start thinking to yourself, okay, how much I need to how much I need to be worth to be, okay, I'm fine. Everything, I've reached my goals. Okay.
Right.
So that you get you to the first step. the calculators are great, but they are for specific goals. The net worth is kind of a more holistic picture of where you are, and that helps you also understand where you want to get to.
All right. So yeah, so that's an exclusive URL for the listeners of the Eric Mueller Show. So Shlomo, I mean, that's very kind of you to provide that. I appreciate you doing that. I think some of us listening, myself included, I'm a pharmacist, so doing that net worth calculator might be a little depressing because at this current moment in time, I'm a little bit in the red in terms of debt. However, everything's an investment. There's time to make it up. That's why you're privileged to be able to go to get a degree and take on loans. I feel like it's a privilege, not a hindrance. So yeah, go ahead and check out that calculator. Calculate your net worth. I wish I could do a contest or something. Someone with the highest net worth wins, a gift card or something. But I don't want anybody to brag on me or anything like that. So, but
you could do a ranking on your website.
You could. We could do that. Yeah. Shlomo, do you want to participate in this? Or yeah.
Sure, but maybe anonymously. I actually do. Publish every month. If my net worth is up or down, you can see this in all my social media profiles. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yes.
So I'm open about that. I'm analyzing what's working, what's not. So you can look at that.
Yep. I saw that on your website as well. Your monthly, the net worth reports that you published on there. I thought that was really cool. I wanted to ask you about that because I wasn't sure if it was your personal net worth or the net worth of your clients. And I was curious about that. So yeah. So, I mean, you track it from each month, and you just check the net percent change. And then you also have a savings rate on there. Would you mind just touching on what that means as far as tying it all together?
Savings rate. So it's a matter of how much of your income you're actually saving. So the typical rate is about, 10%, 15%, some people 0%.
Okay.
But that percentage really determines how fast you can, decide that you don't have to work anymore and do whatever you want. So Some people push it to 40%, 50%, 70%. Well, I don't know. It really depends on your lifestyle, but it's a matter of pushing it as much as possible. So if you're doing 50%, it means that for every month that you're doing this, you're actually getting another month of your expenses where you don't have to work. Think about this.
Okay.
While you're doing 10%, it's much, much slower.
Yep. So just some people, from a traditional like 401k standpoint, thinking about how much you need to live off of when you retire. That's a different way of looking at it, but kind of a similar concept, right?
Yes, but what I'm saying is that you don't have to wait until you're 60 plus years for that.
Exactly. You can have like you've talked about since the beginning, you could have your goals and your financial plan set out right now, no matter if you're 25, 30, 15 years old, anything, so that you know where you're going, right? So, I mean, you can plan for it years into the future.
I'd say even more than that. I'd say if you're listening to this and you're age 20 plus, like, don't wait until something happens. Don't even wait until you have money. Just do it now and deal with it. That will save you and make you a lot of money over the years.
Yeah. And, when we create these financial plans, so you did a great job, elaborating on the steps involved in that financial roadmap. How is someone best able to keep track of their progress? Would you suggest that net worth calculator? Is that the best way? Or would you, if you have a goal for that trip example around the world, if you notice that percent return is at that mark, it's above 6% and you're contributing that $500 a month, is that sufficient enough tracking, or what would you recommend, I guess? Any tools?
So I do two things. One, I do my net worth every month, and that's the percentage that I publish on my social media profiles. So definitely do that. Download that net worth calculator and see the trend. See if this go over a few months, see if it goes up or down, and keep doing it at the same date every month. Then you're able to see what's working, what's not working. Now, further, and this is more of people I work with, I create for them a plan. It's a spreadsheet that goes and lists all their goals, what assets they should have at what return, and what they need to do every month to reach those goals. So they're really clear. I need $523 every month for the next 5 years to reach goal X. I need $122 to reach goal Y. for the next 7 years at this return. So, and then just keep doing that, you reach those goals.
Yeah. So Shlomo, I think a big thing that some of my listeners will be curious to hear about is your take on cryptocurrency. I know you mentioned earlier that, it's debatable whether or not it's an investment. So we'll hit on that, and then kind of further on that, probably, just on the topic of how stock market trading has kind of been, a little bit gamified, at least in the last 12 months, in the States with, the GameStop, the AMC, those types of things, certain day trading, shorting. I mean,
Okay.
I am just curious on your take as far as what is and is not an investment, and how can someone, weather a certain amount of risk? Like, basically just how can they prevent themselves from trying to chase that short-term money that could in reality really derail them from their goal?
So here's the thing. If you want to go with the plan and what I mentioned, it's based on a certain return that you do every year, every month. I mean, it depends. But you can also put there a very high number, but usually it means that you also be it will fluctuate. Okay. So, American stock market over the last 100 years made between 7 to 9, 10%, depends how you count. So basically, if you are investing in an ETF there, you can make some kind of prediction. Yes, there are no guarantees in life, but there is some certainty there. So you can get to that. And again, we're getting to that example of the trip around the world. Instead of 20,000, we have 18,000. That's fine. That's okay, because I can predict this forward. With the other assets like crypto, day trading, because they are unpredictable, I would say use them as something that you're willing to lose and that you can live with. You can still sleep well at night. Okay. This can be out of your plan, and you'd say, okay, if I lost it, if something happens, it doesn't hurt the quality of my life. It's I want to try that. It excites me. That's fine, but it's not part of my plan. I'm not trusting this will work.
Okay, sure.
And then it's okay. Just realize that this is the risk. This is the risk that is involved, and if it will happen, I'm cool with this.
Okay. Yeah, so you wouldn't suggest saving for your kids' college fund by investing it all in Bitcoin right now. That would not be an advisable strategy, in your opinion.
That's correct. I know that it's very tempting because of what's happening, but I would not do that.
Yeah. Well, and I have invested in, I have actually probably more crypto than I should in terms of a percentage when you look at, people's analytics on it in terms of your portfolio as a whole. But I think it does ring true when you follow certain things like that. It's hard to go on social media without being bombarded with, certain, it's kind of like gambling in a sense. You see all the big wins, you don't necessarily see all the losses. And so it's easy to think, oh, hey, this is easy. I can make a lot of money. You throw $1,000 in this that you probably couldn't afford to lose, and it's gone. And then I think that's where you get in trouble. And then people think investing is not fun. And, so I think it's a great point to just, invest what you're willing to lose in it. And if you lose it, know that, that was the expected outcome in your mind in the first place, or at least it was a possible outcome.
Yeah, I agree that the chances are better than gambling, but it's still too fluctuative. So not recommended. Today, by the way, because there was a drop in Ethereum, I bought some today.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
Bitcoin and Ethereum dropped today, but if that would not work, my life would still be the same. I was going to sleep at night.
Yep. And I think those two that you mentioned, Bitcoin, Ethereum, probably are the more safe investments in the crypto world right now. You would hope,
definitely,
that as long as crypto exists in 5 years, that those assets likely will have appreciated in value. But again, it's kind of like the stock market. Nothing's a certainty, but history has shown that it probably is going to go in that direction, but we shall see.
Yeah, but we don't have this with crypto. We don't have that history.
No, you don't have 100 years. No, that's exactly right.
10 maybe. Not
exactly. Even. Yeah. Well, and Shlomo, so another piece that I appreciate you hitting on that, but another piece you mentioned earlier was, just financial freedom and financial independence. So I know that's a big piece of your company's name has it in its namesake, about freeing yourself. But I want to ask, in your opinion, what does it mean to be financially free? What does that mean to you, as Shlomo Freund?
So when, we all have that chase of money. We need more money. We need more money. We need to do this. We need to do that. But instead of that, I suggest, again, people thinking about their goals. Once you know what your goals are and you know where you are at on the way to them, think about that. Now you're point A and you're going to point B. And by calculating your net worth, you know how far you are from point B, and you just need to keep doing that plan. So you have that ease of understanding, yes, everything will be fine. I'll be fine. I'll reach those goals as I expect. Now, yes, there are things that change in life, but you still have this frame that you're in it, and you know how to change things within that frame. But that clarity is, for me, part of the definition of financial freedom. Okay. It's not about having packs of money falling from the sky on you or being super rich. It's about aligning your lifestyle goals with your finances.
Okay. Yeah. And that is really the first step in creating the financial roadmap, is figuring out what those goals are in your life, correct? Mm-hmm. Just figuring out where you want to go. So could we just quickly walk through what the next steps are, or what the most important component of that financial roadmap is? It could be the net worth calculation that you just shared, but I was just curious if it had differed at all from what you just talked about.
So I'd say definitely one of the hardest parts is understanding where you want to go. Like, why do I need to think about my child's college in 20 years?
Yeah.
Okay. But if you're forcing yourself to do that, you're saving yourself a lot of hustle down the road. But still, there are some, the next steps, like upgrading your financial knowledge, and the third step for controlling your numbers. These are also very important. Now, when I'm talking about upgrading your financial knowledge, it's not about going to have a degree in economics. Mm-hmm. There are a few basic things that give you 80% of the outcome that you need. It's to know how compound interest works, and to know how to calculate your net worth, and to know how to calculate your cash flow, things like that, how to leverage if needed. And another hard part is controlling your numbers. And controlling your numbers, meaning that you are going through a plan, okay? If you're not controlling the numbers and you're not sure where you're at, there's no use of doing that. At the end of that roadmap, you take all this information and you build that plan. But all the steps before that lead to this plan. Again, they're connected. They're connected. So from all I said, like, what would be the hardest thing? I think it's just compiling all this thing together, because I feel that people are sometimes attached just to part of that. I'm really good at managing my money, but what are you managing your money for?
Yeah.
I'm really good because I know what I want for myself. So why are you so broke and not working towards these goals? I have a wonderful plan, but what is this? Like a plan of action, but what is this plan of action is for? So all these components by themselves, in my opinion, do not work.
Okay.
It's supposed to have all of them together.
Yep. So each one of them just by itself is not going to do you much good. You got to have a collective, package of fundamentals working for you. In other words, you need to piece it all together. It's not, you can't just pick one and think it's going to, you have this great plan, but you don't take any action on it. That's not going to do anything for you, obviously.
Exactly. It's going back to your first question of what I should invest in. I spoke about this in many events. To answer that question is that roadmap.
Okay.
It's basically this.
And listeners can unlock that by going to your website and getting involved, with setting up a coaching initial call would probably be the first step, right? And that you kind of tease out the goals and figure that out. And you obviously offer this as a service. You make money from this, which is a great business model, because I think it's probably one of the better investments a person could make is investing in their own financial intelligence. Is At least my opinion on that is if you're investing in someone that can help you, financial advisors, any people that run more independent financial companies like yourself. I think there's a role for each of those in anybody's financial plan as a whole. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the future of just following your journey, seeing what you're doing. I know you're currently in Israel, so I think you're the first guest from that country on the show. So that's cool. It's a nice accolade there. Yeah. And you're currently you currently work remotely, right? So I mean, you traveling is a big piece of your life. You're you're going around the world, and you're still able to manage your business. Have you found anything that's been most helpful for you from a financial standpoint to give to people that also work remotely? Like what might be the best financial advice for those remote workers?
So I can't give financial advice on tax again because that's individual, but that comes up a lot.
Yeah.
However, there aren't a lot of special things for people who work remotely in terms of finances. Just think of this as different goals. Okay, we are a location independent family, and we want to keep our lifestyle the way that we like it. We homeschool, we travel with our kids, we're with them at home now, but it will be the same, let's say, day to day that we have, but in a different country. So that's our goal. Somebody else has their own goal. Either they're working remotely or they don't work remotely. By the way, I think that now after pandemic, it's like working remotely, just work.
Yeah. It's kind of interchangeable.
Still, it's kind of a tribe. Yeah. It's kind of a tribe of its own. I don't know. It just changes so fast.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure you found, throughout your journey and career, you're probably not a entrepreneur for the entirety of your life. There was a certain point in time where you had a shift, I would bet. Is that right? You kind of had a shift where you thought, or did you always think that entrepreneurship was your path?
So my entrepreneurship was always my path without thinking about it. That's the answer. I think whenever I've had a day job, I also did and tried projects and stuff on my own. It was never just 100% this. Maybe I didn't define myself as entrepreneur back then, but I've been doing this for so many years, probably close to 20 years now. So it's kind of built in within me.
Yeah. I know that resonates with me. I mean, I feel the same way. I currently work full time, but I have this podcast. I have a few other, what you might call side hustles that I'm working on. And, at times it can get overwhelming, but I think kind of like you just shared, I wouldn't be able to sit there and just work full time and come home and do none of that stuff on the side. Like I would just feel restless within myself. So hopefully, I mean, I like to think that I will hopefully at one point be able to call myself a successful entrepreneur, but it sounds like maybe the steps are already being placed in motion for me, and I just need to keep on it. Would you give any advice to someone that feels similar to because I'm certain there's at least a few people listening right now that are in the same boat as me. Basically, they're currently working full time. If they didn't work full time, they likely wouldn't be able to afford all their expenses. Right. But at the same time, they have some side hustles and different things they're maybe even more passionate about than their work.
So it's definitely a viable way to go with. I just listened yesterday to a podcast episode with Peter Levels. He's the one creating Nomad List. So among the indie makers community, he's very big. And he said just that. When he started, it was about having, I don't remember what he had back then, but he had some kind of money or something comes up monthly. I don't remember what that was. And he built that thing. Now, this guy worked on about 70 projects. 3 or 4 are successful.
Yeah.
And he's now making by himself 2 to 3 million a year.
Yeah.
He said that at a podcast.
That is, so, yeah,
so it's about, having that base and keep trying and keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. And there are so many opportunities out there now that we are in the internet world to look for information, to meeting the right people, to get help. it's open to everybody. It's open to everyone. You can do it.
Right. And just because I was curious, Shlomo, I'm a numbers guy. I like to, calculate things out and stuff. So 4 out of 70, you're looking at just over 5.7% in terms of the success rate of those companies for that individual who right now is making a ton of money for himself yearly. So I think, you talk to enough entrepreneurs, and the commonality that I've found is just, you're very rarely are you successful on the very first thing you try. And it's most generally those successful entrepreneurs, gosh, they're starting multiple companies or multiple projects, and they're absolutely going to experience failure along the way. So you got to be able to weather that. And that, for me, I'm trying to keep that in the front of my mind because I want to succeed. I want to be good at something as soon as I possibly can. And it's hard to be used to that uncomfortable nature of not being good at something or failing early on.
Yeah, I want to touch actually this point, but from the other side, about talking about unicorns.
Yeah.
So billion-dollar companies, it's the same thing on the other way. So it's not about having a unicorn. Yes, it can happen. And yes, but again, tiny chances for this to happen. But it doesn't mean that you're not successful. So have that in mind as well.
Yeah, exactly. Keep it, just keep your expectations at a level where you know what your own definition of success is, in other words. And that's actually a perfect segue. A question that I love to ask all my guests is, what is their own definition of success? So I know you shared earlier, I asked you what your definition of financial freedom was, kind of more financial success. But Shlomo, what is your definition of success as a whole? You can certainly take it from a financial standpoint if you'd like, but what does success mean to you?
I'm feeling very successful right now. I do things that I like. For me, it's continuing the lifestyle that I have. So it's having those few months vacations every once or two times a year with my family, traveling with them, do the things that I love. That's basically it. So I want to support and keep doing this. That's success for me.
Right. And building off of that, so another core question on my show that I've really come to make it the pillar of the Eric Mueller Show is exploring what makes successful people's inner clock ticking towards success. Mm-hmm. So you define success, you find out where you want to go. So it kind of ties in with our topic of you need to know what your goals are before you set out your plan for your financial roadmap. So you know what success is for you. You want to keep that current lifestyle you have. So what would be the single driving force or a few driving forces that keeps your inner success clock ticking towards that?
I really want people to be happier of where they are, but still being able to look forward in what they do in life. So having that plan and understanding where they're going and helping them understand where they're at, and then telling them you'll do 1, 2, and 3, and then they get that clarity and that Zen feeling like, I'm fine, I'm happy, the trajectory is great. That's okay. I'm okay. That clarity makes you a happier person. I want to help more people.
Yeah, and your business does just that. So you're painting a clear picture as far as what they need to do to achieve that financial success, I feel like. And so you're achieving your mission. Even today, you never know who's going to listen to this episode and maybe, glean advice that you've shared, and it could put them on a different path entirely in their lives.
I really hope so.
Yeah. Well, Shlomo, man, I can't thank you enough for being on here. It's really been such a pleasure talking to you. You shared earlier that freefinancialself.com/EM show is where the listeners will go to access that net worth calculator. So that I'm excited to hear feedback from people that use that. Please, everybody listening, go use that. Go follow Shlomo on his social media channels. I'll attach those on the show notes too. And
do you want me to mention
Shlomo,
them?
If anybody, yeah, go ahead and mention your handles. And if anybody wants to contact you, what would be your preferred method of contact?
So I am big on Twitter. So go to Free Financial SF. That's the handle. Unfortunately, Free Financial Self is too long. So Free Financial SF on Twitter. On Facebook, it would be Free Financial Self. On Instagram, it's Free Financial Self. On LinkedIn, it's my name, Shlomo Freund. I have a YouTube channel, Free Financial Self. These are all the places you can get me on freefinancialself.com. That's the website.
Fantastic. Well, we'll definitely get get people over there to follow you and get involved with what you're doing, because I think you're doing a great service to the world, and people really need to have a hold of their finances, because it can be a big stressor in people's lives, especially over here in the States. It can be a big topic that people want to have a handle on so that they can feel free and be able to live their happiest life. So Shlomo Freund, I can't thank you enough for being on the Eric Mueller Show, man. You have a good rest of your day.
Thank you very much, Eric. It was a pleasure. Thank you.